Coming up on this episode of Freedom from Fire, we'll talk about a demoralizing and horrible epidemic that affects individuals in every community, regardless of age, economic status, sexual orientation, gender, race, or religion. Then later in the show, we'll talk to a nurse from the Philadelphia Corporation for Aging about senior safety and highlight some important senior safety tips. Hello and welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I will be your host, Lieutenant Lisa Desamore. I'm currently stationed in our department's Fire Prevention Division, where community risk reduction efforts are a primary goal. Here at Freedom from Fire, we aim to improve your quality of living by giving you fire and life safety information. We also introduce you to our local safety partners. Domestic violence is defined as the willful intimidation, physical assault, battery, sexual assault, and/or other abusive behavior as part of a systemic pattern of power and control perpetrated by one intimate partner against another. It can include psychological violence and emotional abuse as well. Here are some statistics to put the impact of domestic violence into perspective. Domestic violence affects 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men in their lifetimes. Sexual violence is experienced by 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men. Between 960,000 and 3 million incidents of domestic violence are reported each year, while many other incidences go unreported. All of these statistics are staggering and again have no bias. These crimes can cause significant harm, which often impacts survivors' home life and careers. Here with us today to talk more about domestic violence is Ms. Azucena Ugarte. She is the Executive Director in the City's Office of Domestic Violence Strategies. Let's now introduce Ms. Ugarte and learn more about this very critical issue. Thank you so much for joining us today. So excited to have you.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. As with all my guests, I first like to open up the interview portion with tell us a little bit about you first.
Sure. As you mentioned, I'm the director of the Office of Domestic Violence Strategies. It's an office that was created in 2016. So it's kind of a new office in October 2016. When it was created, I was the only person there. Now we are 2 full-time staff and 3 interns. But before that, I worked for over 10 years at one of the domestic violence nonprofit organizations in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the director of training and prevention there.
So you come with lots and loads of experience.
You can tell that.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. But what I would like to ask you after that then is, how would you define, what would you tell us domestic violence is?
So I would say domestic violence, it's, as you mentioned, a pattern of power and control.
Okay.
And I think for our work, one of the main issues is to differentiate what is just a bad relationship and what it is an abusive relationship. And I think sometimes we don't see the difference or we treat all those relationships as the same.
Okay.
So, and the way I like to explain it, and sometimes it's it could sound simplistic, but I think it's a way to understand it, is in a bad relationship, you may have a dynamic in which, and I'm going to use my fingers to show this, but it's a dynamic in which the 2 partners are like this. So maybe the 2 of them fight, maybe the 2 of them are mean at each other, but it's the 2 of them having equal power in the relationship.
Okay.
Okay? And in those relationships, those kind of relationships, the two people can try to work it out together.
Okay.
That's when you have couples going to therapy, couple
Counseling.
therapy, counseling, or going to talk to their pastor, their priest, their imam, or
Okay.
an elder in their community, and then maybe want to work in their communication skills, in their
Okay.
conflict resolution skills, and try to work it out together.
Okay.
Or they may break up. And when they break up, the conflict is solved.
It's done. They
right?
go their separate ways.
Exactly. That's a bad relationship. The problem with an abusive relationship or with domestic violence is that the dynamic is not like this. The dynamic is like this.
One overpowering.
Exactly.
Okay.
One partner gains and maintains power and control over the other one.
Okay.
And that person, the abusive partner, finds different tactics or strategies. The one that everybody knows is the physical abuse, right? So physically hurting the partner. So next time they ask for something, the partner is going to obey because now they are scared.
Right.
But there are so many other tactics that this person uses to install that power and control.
Okay.
And the problem with a relationship like that one is that couple therapy is not going to work.
No.
Because if you're being abused and you're in therapy with your abuser next to you, you're not going to share everything.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And the abuser is going to try to manipulate.
And dominate the whole session.
Exactly.
Okay.
The other big difference is when it's just about relationship, ending the relationship, it's a safe option. May not be the easiest option. Breakups are never easy.
Right.
But this is just about relationship, you end the relationship and problem solved.
Okay.
The problem with abusive relationships is that ending the relationship is actually the most dangerous times.
Wow. Okay.
So most victims of domestic violence who ended up being killed, they are killed after they had left.
After.
Or when they were getting ready to leave.
Okay.
So things to remember about power and control, about domestic violence, is those dynamics of power and control
Okay.
that sometimes we don't see.
Right.
And that are not necessarily illegal in our system.
That introduces my next question. What is a reason or reasons that some domestic violence victims stay with their partner?
And a lot of people ask those questions, right? There are several reasons, and then I'm going to propose a different question.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But so there are several reasons. The three main reasons are fear.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, it's the most dangerous time. So the abusive partner may tell you, if you leave me, I'm going to kill you. And I'm going to find you. Like, I know where your mother lives. I know what time you pick up the kids at school. I know where you work. You have been together. You have been a couple. They are part of your family. So they know you. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to hide?
Right.
So one of the main reasons is fear. Another main reason is actually financial resources. Right? You mentioned, for example, emotional abuse. One thing that we see is financial abuse.
Okay.
So a way to maintain that power and control is not letting you work or getting your savings, sabotaging your job, getting you fired, all different things. So when you want to leave the relationship, you have no savings, you have no income. Where are you going to go?
And it keeps them trapped.
It keeps them trapped, exactly. Or maybe you try and then come back. And the third main reason why people do not leave, it's children. Some of us have been raised with this idea that children need two parents.
Right.
So, and sometimes victims or survivors of domestic violence, what they say is, well, this person is abusing me, but is really good with the children. The children love this person. This person is a good provider. We have a good house. The children like their school. Me leaving means taking the children away from this. Interesting enough, children could be the reason for staying, and at some point children become the reason for leaving.
Wow. That makes it a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and there's so many other reasons.
Oh, I can imagine.
But
yes,
these are the
three
three main reasons. Yeah.
What, or are there any warning signs? Anything that can tell you, anything that would indicate maybe this person is, you know?
Yes and no.
Okay.
And I'm going to say yes
Okay.
and no for the following. So for those who have been working in domestic violence for several years, are very clear signs, right?
Okay.
Somebody that is a little bit too possessive,
Okay.
a little bit too controlling,
Okay.
Jealousy, it's a big warning sign. Somebody who wants to know a little bit too much about you, somebody who commits too fast, too soon. And I said yes, but no, because if you actually think of all those warning signs, our society romanticizes a lot of those signs.
They do.
Exactly. So if your partner gets jealous, it could be flattering. People find it like, oh, it's because he really cares about me. So there are warning signs that if you don't know about them, and if you're in a relationship, you actually think are good signs.
Right.
This person's really into me. They really want to know about me. They really want me only for them. And we, as society, we need to teach something different about how relationships should be.
A healthy one.
A healthy
Absolutely.
one, yeah. And then the question that I think as society we need to start asking ourselves also is, so we have the question about why victims don't leave or don't stay or cannot leave or they stay, right? But I think the other question that we should start asking ourselves is why abusers abuse?
Right. Wow. And it sounds so simple the way you just posed the question, but a lot of people don't even think of that.
We don't think, yeah, we immediately, our attention goes to the victim because we want to help.
Right.
But when we put all the attention on the victim, then we put also all the responsibility, right? They're like, you should leave, you should do this, you should do that. Nobody goes to the abuser to be like, hey, what are you doing?
Right.
Stop doing whatever you are doing. You're hurting your partner, you are hurting your children, you could end up in jail. That's more difficult, right? Like we don't even think about it. We just go immediately to the victim.
So here's a classic question. Do abusers ever change?
Yes, I want to believe that, yes.
Oh, okay.
And I think I want to believe that people change.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I think if they want to change, yes.
Okay.
They can. But I think it had to start there. It had to be somebody who realizes the way I'm behaving is affecting my partner, is affecting my children.
Right.
Even if I think I'm a great parent, when I abuse the other parent of my children, it's going to affect my children sooner or later.
Right.
So that has to be very clear. And I think once they realize that the way they respond, the way they behave is not healthy, then there are programs for them. They can change.
Okay.
If they need support, there are programs for them to change.
Thank you so much. Please know I certainly appreciate you. We're going to have you back again because this is such a huge topic. For anonymous confidential help available 24/7, call the National Domestic Hotline at 1-800-799-7233 SAFE or 1-800-787-3224 now. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, we'll hear about senior citizen safety from the Philadelphia Corporation for Aging.
Wake each morning and get lost in the adventure, knowing that you will be ready for wherever the day takes you. Learn from those willing to teach. Their wisdom and their strength will become yours. They will impart to you a tradition of education nationally recognized for its value. A tradition worthy of your best efforts. As young men and women of LaSalle, we will invest in you the guidance to blaze your own path. To go forth into the unknown with new certainty. To realize your full potential as professionals, as leaders, as citizens. To take up your place as the accountants, speech therapists, journalists, and CEOs of your generation. To impact this city and the world beyond. These adventures are yours, and you are ready for them. Explorers are never lost.
Welcome back to Freedom from Fire. I'm your host, Lieutenant Lisa Desamore. The Philadelphia Corporation for Aging is a nonprofit organization designated since 1973 as the Philadelphia County Area Agency on Aging. Its mission is to improve the quality of life for older adults through programs, services, information, research, and advocacy. With more than 26% of Americans 65 years or older living alone, keeping the elderly safe has become an important concern for families and caregivers alike. Being aware of potential dangers means that we can better prepare in case of an emergency. It's no surprise that the vast majority of seniors prefer to remain in their homes and within their communities as they grow older. However, for most Americans, aging presents new challenges. Here to talk to us about these challenges and senior safety tips and some recommendations is a nurse from the Philadelphia Corporation for Aging, Mr. Stephen Merrill. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And in orderly fashion that I always do, my very first question is, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, my name is Stephen Merrill, and I am a registered nurse, and I have worked at Philadelphia Corporation for Aging for almost 10 years.
Nice.
Prior to my current position, I worked in our long-term care department.
Okay.
And now I work in the health promotion unit, and it is just that we go around to the city and we present and health and wellness programs.
Okay.
At senior centers, at senior older adult apartment complexes,
Okay.
houses of faith, and whoever else would like to hold one of them.
Nice, so you travel.
Yes, we travel out in the community.
Okay.
And we have a network of folks who help us put on a lot of our programs, and we do some exercise and fitness in the senior centers as well.
Oh, that's amazing. So my next question would then be, what are some safety tips as it relates to injury risk factors in the home?
Well, one of the primary things we think about when we think about injury for older adults is falls. And falls are 1 out of 4 older adults will fall, is the statistic, unfortunately.
Okay.
And when someone falls, they are twice as likely to fall again.
Oh, wow.
And falls happen more often in the home than they do outside of the home. So
Right.
sometimes people decide, oh, well, I'm not going to go out because I have a risk for falling. And then unfortunately, it will happen in their home, or
Okay.
it could happen. So we try to do is kind of promote safety, including grab bars in bathrooms,
Okay.
non-skid mats in tubs and showers. We also try to ask people to keep their pathways clean
Okay.
and clear, cords out of the way, and that they And in this time of year, you know, if they can't do it themselves, have somebody make sure the ice is taken up around their home,
Oh, definitely.
outside their home, and you know, whatever the salt material they can use. And also, you know, I know, unfortunately, people use space heaters a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and people will use space heaters, so maybe just not put them in a regular power cord and not in a
Right.
extension cord, and not within 3 feet of anything that could be
Right, because
flammable.
then that's a definite fire hazard right there.
Right.
Are there any concerns or important information to know as it relates to medications?
Yes, I would start by saying if someone is prescribed a new medication, then they should report anything that doesn't seem right after they start taking the medication.
Okay.
And we call that an adverse reaction or an adverse effect of the medication, to report to their healthcare provider right away. Also, I would say never stop taking a medication without contacting your healthcare provider. Because you don't know what the effects are going to be of suddenly not taking a medication. You know, and obviously if you have an adverse effect, you want to call right away
Right.
and find out, could this be the medication, you know, or if you suspect that. And the other thing I would say is take the medication as prescribed and directed.
Okay.
And, you know, medications are expensive, so sometimes people decide, well, I know I'm supposed to take 25 milligrams of this medication, but I'm going to split it in half and take 12 and a half milligrams one day and 12 and a half milligrams the next day.
Right.
Most likely you're being prescribed that medication at that
Yeah.
dosage because that's what's going to help and be effective for you.
Right.
So we just try to encourage people to take it as directed.
Which is, I mean, which is good that you promote that, because that, I'm sure that happens quite often, that people do that.
I mean, and medications really are expensive.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. So as it relates to oxygen, what should we all be aware of when we have in-home oxygen use?
Well, never to use it around an open flame. And also make sure that you especially, or others, are not smoking in the home.
Okay.
Contact your local fire station to let them know that there is oxygen in use.
Definitely.
And then have a plan for power outages.
Oh, I didn't.
And then the other thing is that most home oxygen is on a condenser.
Okay.
And with a very long very long tubing, and
Okay.
that presents a falls risk as well for people, because it is it can get in the way and get tangled up and things like that. So those are the things that I thought about.
Things.
Yeah.
Okay. So how important, or would you say it's important, to keep emergency numbers handy?
It is very important to do that.
Okay.
And if 911, of course, and then also for older adults, you know, if they have family or friends, you know, so many phones now can be, those numbers can be
You can
just
store
keyed in
them.
and stored in,
Yeah.
and shortcuts to contacting people. So that would be really, really important, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, and a lot of times I've heard conversations about medical alert systems and ID bracelets. What's your views on that?
I think the medical alert systems are good.
Okay.
And Consumer Reports can show people like what are maybe some better ones than others.
Okay.
Not that I think any of them are awful if they're reputable.
Right.
But the problem is that they all cost something.
Okay.
So you know, some of them are a $25 a month fee plus the equipment fee and things like that.
So the fees will add
yeah,
up.
so there are some fees. And then the bracelets are great because they will alert someone of your condition.
Okay.
So if someone's a diabetic and they are having maybe hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar,
Okay.
they are acting confused because that happens when you have low blood sugar, or your personality is changing.
Okay.
If somebody doesn't know that you're a diabetic, they might think it's something else and you might not get treated as quickly for what's really happening.
Right.
Or somebody might think you're being belligerent, or or whatever, without
Without realizing that's a really major
it's a medical emergency that's happening.
Yeah. And that you definitely want to be aware of that. And you mentioned earlier, I remember you mentioning exercise. So that leads me to number 7, which would be, how about physical activity? Is it important for our seniors to exercise?
It is important.
Is it?
And it's
Okay.
especially important, it's important for everyone.
Okay.
And there's all different levels of senior, of exercise, and exercise geared for older adults. Our senior centers across the city have exercise programs, which are usually 1 hour, 2 days a week, and they are, for anyone over 60, they are free of charge. If you just come to your senior center. They also, but also folks who have had a fall or are fearful of falling. There are less strenuous muscle strengthening and balance exercises and programs out there that people can do as they sit, they can do as they stand leaning on chairs. So there's something for everybody out there, because we have to keep ourselves moving as much as we can. That's safe, but also there's more than people sometimes think that they can do.
Okay, awesome. So if someone is interested in maybe a resource that PCA offers, or wants to know what, a couple of resources that you offer, what would you say that PCA is good for? Like, I know information, what else? What you got?
Well, PCA, we have so many things. We have a senior companion program.
Oh, nice.
And we have a caregiver support program. We do have a long-term care section.
Okay.
We have the health promotion unit, which is what I do. And again, we offer our programs, and we'll bring them to anyone in the city, to do. And we have you can get home repairs done.
Oh, nice.
There is an emergency fund for cases of extreme hardship that we have out there for seniors, and also just helping out with things that are not PCA related, like LIHEAP or energy assistance programs and things like that. Low income. That's what it's called, I believe. Low income heat and energy assistance program.
There you go.
But so if they call our helpline, and whatever their request is, somebody will be there and will direct them to where either it's PCA or it'll be elsewhere where they can be helped.
Awesome. Thank you so very much for all of that information. That was so very helpful. Remember, if you would like to find out more about LaSalle TV, you can check out our social media sites, and if you're interested in learning more about the Philadelphia Fire Department, visit our Facebook, Twitter, and web pages. I would like to once again thank our guests for joining us today. I would also like to thank you for tuning in and watching. So until next time, remember, fire is everyone's fight. Stay safe and remain free from fire.